Welcome to the 1878 FM podcast. Three of us this week. David, Vitty is doing something.
Where the last place I saw David Vitty was wearing a high-vis vest.
Yeah, me too.
At Heathrow Airport.
Yeah.
What?
I don't. He was working.
An EFL podcast.
He does a few things, fueling around and other stuff. He was on a boat the other day, just a pair of his feet. Well, he was all there. Obviously, his feet were there as well. It'd be weird if his feet weren't there.
Sounds like some kind of murder.
Maybe. You know, Beyond Paradise or something. That's where it's filmed down there.
Tremendous show.
That's a great show. And then the next minute, he stood next to what looked like a jumbo jet at Heathrow, and then he's getting selfies, him, his mate, and an engine off a plane, watching a Cathay Pacific plane take off.
For a second, I thought he was one of the guys, who drives the little truck that carries the luggage from the plane to the terminal. He looked like he just finally found his calling, and that was his new job.
Maybe it is. Oh, he just hasn't told us.
Maybe.
It's just doubling down. It's coming into the holiday season. Get extra work, maybe, at the airport. Busier. Who knows?
For a minute there, I was thinking doubling down was Dion Dublin's new show in Australia where he finds people homes.
That would be good. Dublin, Dion Dublin down under.
Sam, you can have that. You can have that, my
Dion
friend.
Dublin
I've written it down already.
Just doubling down. That works on its own.
No, I know, but...
No, see, what you've done is you've
doubling down under.
You've took it too far and you've broke the joke down.
We haven't, because doubling down...
It's just doubling down.
Anything.
No, see, it works on both levels.
Doubling down could be a sideshow to Dave Vitty's EFL podcast where he just talks to people who've been relegated.
Okay.
Football, keeping it in.
You could do doubling up, when the bar's busy and Dion Dublin has to get a couple of pints in instead of one.
Fair enough, yeah. That sounds more like a challenge on Noel
Then when he's waiting to be served, would he just stand there like that with the finger in the air, like when he used to score?
Stand there. Again, there's another reference to
what was the instrument
Edmund's house party for
Dion Dublin.
He had one called the Doob.
That was it,
the Doob. That was like a black drum, wasn't it? Well, it wasn't a black drum. It wasn't Well, was it a black drum?
Sorry, does the drum know that it's black?
I think the drum's like, hang on a sec.
Has anyone broke it to the drum?
Hang on a sec. Dion Dublin selling a version of me, but with about 5 other bits you can hit.
In Australia,
while showing people new houses under there.
Yeah, you get a bonus didgeridoo.
Why wouldn't you?
He'd be doubling down, wouldn't he?
On doubling down. He said, you buy a house and he gives you the drum as your housewarming present, and then does a set, and you're like...
And then there's that Martin fella turn up.
Definitely, this is definitely Channel 5 material, this.
It could be there. I think they're missing a trick. They're missing a trick.
It'll come after, one of those shows about the 70s where everyone tells you how great it was, but everyone looks like boiled.
Weren't we doing that about the 80s?
The 80s are sound, mate.
Yeah, maybe.
The 80s makes the 70s look like the 40s.
Yeah, fair play. Fair play. The roaring 40s.
You can get an Everton Doob,
Can you?
You can get an Everton Doob.
Okay.
I think so, yeah.
So
give us more information.
Dion's branched
out.
Just
thinking, when you... I don't know, just when you hit 100,000 subs, I think there might be a Doob winging its way to you.
Who knows? And we all have a go at the Doob.
Do we have to pass it?
Pass
the left-hand side?
Pass the Doobie on the left-hand side. What'd be good there is if John Blaine could do a segment on the Doob. Yeah. I don't know whether John ever played the Doob, but that would be quite a good segment.
How did we get from Dave Vitty at Heathrow?
Because we were talking about Dave Vitty seeing off the Cathay Pacific plane.
Okay.
But I don't know.
I just don't understand. Okay, I don't know what he must be there to do something with one of the engines for fueling around. But it's a busy international airport. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but they probably remember Dave in his heyday.
Vitty just needs to walk anywhere with confidence in a lanyard, and people just let him in. I'd let him in.
He shoots at the high vis.
You'd look at his face and you go, yeah, he belongs here. And you wouldn't quite go, oh. And then before you know it, he's in and he's fiddling with your engines.
I tell you what, there's an Amazon warehouse out there screaming for Dave Vitty to come to it.
I think he's probably got his higher goals, to be honest. I haven't given up hope of him appearing in the jungle in November.
That job, just for a moment, is also reminiscent of like a TV show in the 90s, isn't it? Working at you've got to get all the bits within a minute. So that feels.
It sounds like an old.
Sounds
like an old Commodore 64.
In Amazon warehouse.
Yeah.
Like
okay.
Because you've got like
an old Amiga game, doesn't it?
Yeah, you've got given when the stuff comes in, you're given time, aren't you? So it sounds like.
Hang on, you'd need to be bleeding Usain Bolt to get stuff from an Amazon warehouse in a minute. Have you seen how big they are?
That's literally the job. That's the job.
No, I know,
that's
but
the job, man.
That's the job, man. I know, but I imagine it's divided into sections.
Yeah.
Can you imagine it legging it like a 3 mile? No, I know they do, but I'm sure they don't have to do that.
Honestly,
they must have good insurance then.
Honestly, I don't want to speak bad of one of the major corporations that could take us down at any moment. I'm just.
No, what I'm saying, that's
they are our future, lords.
Like overlords.
Let's be honest.
The future buying Toffee TV.
No, I just mean in general. I just mean the human race.
Oh, okay.
I just mean when the next war won't be between countries.
No,
it'll be against Tesla and Amazon.
I'm not sure. I'm not. Maybe.
Yeah,
maybe.
We'll all have body parts. We'll all have body parts from Amazon at some point.
Will.
Mm.
Yeah, they'll be 3D printed.
Well, that's a good way to save.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm sure we'll get to the bottom of what Vitty's doing.
We will. We could just ring him.
No,
he likes
because he can't. He's at the airport.
Hello, mate. I can't hear you. Jet fuel going on.
Jet fuel going on.
Let me tell you this. Let me tell you this.
Oh, it's Baz's famous jet fuel story.
It's not quite jet fuel, but you know, years ago when the Grand National Concord had come, wasn't it?
Oh,
Concord had come to Liverpool, land at Liverpool and whatever. Need helicopter guests who were, being on Concord to Aintree Racecourse, right? And people used to go down and see Concord take off, right? And one year, my dad said, should we go down and see Concord take off as it goes? Because, whatever. Yeah, okay. So we got in the car and went to Liverpool Airport, right? Back in the days. But where Liverpool Airport now is different. You should be able to go to, like, the viewing park, which was a hill. But it was like a sort of like a country lane it was. It was set. It's not like that now. So we went there.
Are you up to date with your country lanes?
I've tried my country lane, but Liverpool Airport's expanded.
Okay.
As you
Sounds
can
a bit sus.
Big shout out to Tom Woods there. I mean, Tom hasn't built it. He's just a PR for it. Anyway, I digress. Back to the story. So we get there, and there's a fella in a Dave Vitty-esque high-vis, airport fella. So we pull up, and they used to, let you park in certain things. And we got there, and obviously my dad wound the window down. Wasn't the days of electrical things. And he said, mate, go and park over there. My dad just wanted to know, has Concord left yet? And he went, I'm not saying it's left, but I did hear the sonic boom about 10 minutes ago. So we're like, I must have left. And then as we drove away, we were like, you don't hear the sonic boom when Concord leaves the floor. No. Sonic boom is when it's cruising.
Yeah, Mach, it's like Mach.
Exactly, whatever it was hitting, Mach. Wasn't that a razor?
Yeah,
anyway,
well, I think
did he give them out on Concord? Razors? Then Mach 3? I don't know. Be interesting to shave when it was at Mach 2 or whatever, wouldn't it?
Oh, yeah, you'd end up with be like Movember.
Yeah, one go. So, yeah, I don't know, but I heard the sonic boom about 10 minutes ago.
That sounds
Are you sure
like
he actually worked there?
I don't know whether he might have been Dave Vitty. Well, I mean, not Dave, but you know what I mean. He might just threw the high vis on. Remember that fella as well? Sorry, this story come back to me.
What's going on?
This is normally me. It is. I've got your ADHD brain today. That fella. I've been in since about 7:45. That's why I'm hyped. About 5 coffees. That fella, remember it come out a while ago? Well, I'm saying a while ago, probably about 15 years ago, but there was that story that fella had been charging people to park in his car park. It was a real story.
You know this, don't you, Sam?
It was amazing.
No, I don't know this. Is this
okay? So this is
Liverpool Airport.
So this is the story.
I mean, you've got my story. We carry on.
No, but I know, but I feel like you need to just calm down.
I am. I'm gonna have a sip.
You need to just take this down.
Coffee.
I've never ever said that in my life to someone else. So this was the story of. Basically, there was a car park and it had been there for 30 years. And this man every day took money off people for the car park.
High vis
on, took money every single day. And then one day he said, I'm retiring. Literally walked away. And then afterwards, it came out that, or so the story says, that this piece of land was basically not owned. He didn't own it. and the council didn't own it, and no one knew who owned it. And every day for 30 years, this fella had just been turning up, charging everyone £2, 7 days a week for 30 years, and then just walked away into the quiet of the night. No one ever saw him again, and no one could ever get to the bottom of who this fella was, who owned the land, who didn't own the land. And basically, this fella...
That's amazing.
They'd worked it out that this fella had made millions, basically, just
So he was probably only 43 when he was retiring, because he was going off to his yacht, very much like trading.
But it's one of those stories that you hear loads of times, and it's like, no one's got any proof that it happened.
He picked, but it was...
But it's one of the ones where you think, I hope that's true. I hope that's true.
It, isn't it?
It's amazing.
That's
and
the dream,
my first thought when you were telling me that was like, what an amazing Hollywood movie that would make. But actually, no, it'd be absolutely dreadful because it'd just be him at the carport every day, taking money, and then it ends.
Up every day collecting £2.
It'd be Brad Pitt as well, wouldn't it?
Every day, just getting £2.
But it was everywhere. It was like a new story, so maybe it was true. I mean, the one question I had was, when he went on holiday, who covered for him?
Yeah, he never went on holiday. That's why he bought a yacht.
That's why he bought his yacht and retired at 43.
He probably couldn't even afford the yacht, even with the money he made. But yeah,
I think owning a car park has got to be like something that people don't normally aspire to. But what a great money spinner that would be. Whether you own a car park or not, by the sounds of it.
There was my fella knew a fella who owned 3 or 4 of them around the city centre before. Like, that's what he'd put his money into years ago. And obviously when Liverpool 1 was built, they bought all the car parks. Because I don't know if you remember, it's a long way, but there used to be all loads of little car parks dotted around off Paradise Street.
Bits of land.
Bits of land. And he made an absolute
I was going to say, did he make a lot of them?
He made a fortune. As would anyone who built a car park around our new stadium. Just conveniently taking it back to Everton.
Yeah,
very good.
Or anyone who invested in shares in Zoom just before they went to China and bit a bat.
Yeah,
because they must have made a load of money.
Well, hasn't it been confirmed that come out of a lab? No.
What, Zoom came out of a lab?
Came out of a lab. Yeah.
Zoom's
what they were doing was they were trying to find a cure for COVID in the lab, and someone discovered Zoom. Chased the day away, and that was it. That was on in the background, and Jamie Carragher was thinking of releasing it.
I can do it.
So off you go.
You know that song, Zoom?
Fat Larry's band. Chase the day. No, go ahead.
Well, I have this mental image.
It's a classic song.
I have this mental image in my mind of Jamie Carragher sitting at Goodison in the 80s, as we all did at our time before the game, and I'm just going, thinking about Zoom will chase the days away. Talking about Zoom. I have that mental image in my head now and again, Sam. That just says more about what goes on in my head than.
And you told me to calm down.
Yeah. No, but you've just teed me up. I felt like I had to tap it in at the 18th hole. Do you know what I mean?
You did have to tap it in.
Is that just popping to your head? Is that like the screensaver of your mind, Ped? Just when you're not thinking about anything else.
Do you know, like Homer,
the monkeys? Singing that.
That's mine. My dream is to go on the overlap. Don't ever let me go on. No. And just literally sing that in front of him, just as a laugh.
I think if you do go on, I doubt you'll go on twice if you do that.
It wouldn't really bother me if he didn't laugh. Oh. He called me out on that show 2 weeks ago. I have a right to reply, and that would be my reply.
He's probably calling you out because you've hammered him many times. Yeah. So it's his right to reply.
He once
messaged
like
me
Drake
saying, and Kendrick, this, isn't it?
Yeah. He once met. I'm not being funny. He once slid into me DMs asking me why I was in Inverness. I have every right.
Asking you.
I have every right to voice my.
Why were you in Inverness?
Hey.
That was another documentary, Looking for Dunk.
Yeah, that was a documentary. He wasn't there.
Searching for Dunk.
He was in the
Searching for the Loch Ness Monster and Dunk. Yeah. He didn't find either. Obviously up in Inverness.
I came closer to the Loch Ness Monster.
Possibly. That Fat Larry's band, Sam, was... I don't know whether you'd ever do this. If you got like a song or a smell or a taste that will take you back to that moment in time. So mine, Fat Larry's band and Dionne Warwick, Why Do You Have to Be a Heartbreaker? Whenever I hear either of those songs, I am transported back to being like 9 or 10-year-old kid, sat in the lower Bullens with me dad at about 2:20, and Adrian Heath is not having shots at Neville Southall, like the warming up, and I can smell in a wooden stand. I can smell cigar smoke, and I'm literally
transported
within. Honestly, it's the most visceral thing ever like, that I can feel when I hear the song.
It feels like an episode of Black Mirror, doesn't it? If there was an episode of Black Mirror where he could take you back to a core memory, and he played you a bit of song or something, that's what it would be.
It's incredible. Have you got any of them?
Well, yeah, June is a massive one for me.
Because it was on, they play it at the same time, you know, and what was great about them days was the person who was like saying the things could actually tell you who sang it and get the name right, or, you know, the lineups of the team and get the name right. Very much not like the modern people today, but unbelievable. But it was, they used to play it so you'd be able to go almost, it's 2:23 because there's Fat Larry's band, you know, that kind of thing.
There was that, and
all part of it.
There was that, and again, you'll remember. I'm not sure if Sam will, but the letters on the bullens, which corresponded to
the scores,
and you'd have it on the back of your programme, which one was which game, and they just put the scores up. Like,
I always thought they should have brought that back this season. Should have brought that back this season, or just for a couple of games.
Yeah, they should have done, Sam, for two reasons, really.
Yeah, well, it's a good thing.
Let me go, because we will go to one, because doing it for like Ipswich and Southampton would have been really iconic. We're going back to like remember it. But two, you can't get Wi-Fi at Goodison anyway. No. So that's a good way of finding out the scores. Yeah. You know, at half-time or full-time.
But no one ever because they normally do these things half-hearted, would probably put the letters up, but not put the letters on the programme to tell you which games they corresponded to. And you had to just sort of guess it. Oh, someone's winning 2-0. Yeah. I wonder who that is.
That'd be good.
Is there anything,
Liverpool.
Sam, then, come on, while we're on this train, is there anything that takes you back to any moments when you know, is there anything pop up now and again, you go, that reminds me of that game?
It doesn't have to be footy, just anything.
Yeah, loads. I mean, loads of songs and stuff, but I think the most visceral one is, you know, Cool Waters, the aftershave. It's not particularly my favourite aftershave, but when I went to Newquay, the year 2000, with two of my best mates, we went for a week camping, and before we went, one of my mates grabbed a load of little samples. The little, not urine samples. That'd be weird. The little samples of Cool Waters. So the three of us were just doused in that for the whole week. And I've never worn it before or since, just that week. So if I walk past someone on the street and they walk past me, I'm in Newquay and it's year 2000 and I'm young and it's mad. But I always think, because you mentioned Black Mirror, Ped, like imagine if you could revisit these core memories, how they actually were, because how much of it is just the, you know, time adds all these little bells and whistles and things that weren't actually there. And you go back and you go, Adrian Heath wasn't even playing that day. You know what I mean? You could. It's weird, isn't it? The mind is such a strange thing.
They say that 50% of the core memory isn't real. So you've changed it over time. So that'd be dead interesting. One thing that went through my head when you were talking about Cool Water and then saying I hadn't took urine samples, that surely would have been called, you know, hot piss or whatever, wouldn't it? So it would have been. It doesn't quite have the same, you know, the opposite of what it was. It doesn't quite have the same. It doesn't scan quite the same, does it?
But when
what are you wearing? It's hot piss.
70s edition.
Yeah. When you mention that, then though, I just obviously the big clear out in my house. But one of the first things got cleared out was like, you know, do you have a shelf with all your stuff in the bathroom?
Like with the aftershave
and there was aftershaves there. Like
Cool Water, one of them?
No, I never had Cool Water.
Cool Water's lovely.
But loads of Ralph Lauren ones.
What about Crocs? Did you ever have Crocs?
But they were all like, they were still on the shelf, these ones that my mum had brought me back from holidays in like the 90s, and they were still there.
Do they go out of date, do they? Because I bet if they're like 30
you wouldn't have
years
thought,
old.
because they're like alcohol.
They shouldn't.
But I mean, I've never wore aftershave. I've never been an aftershave person.
Really?
Never been an aftershave person. I've never.
Your natural sense is probably enough.
Yeah. I mean, it's enticing. It's enticing. Attract all the animals when we go to the woods.
Enticing by McPartland.
It's not the body I've got in the bag that attracts them. It's my just natural scent. But all these aftershaves that were like, and you're thinking, they're like one of those things where you go, I shouldn't throw them out because I might use them one day. Yeah, I've got to be 46. I've had these things since I was 16. And you're like, like these Ralph Lauren ones that my mum, they were like mounting up. I think there was like Safari. Oh, not all these. Like,
you know, if you've never worn aftershave though, and you start putting loads of aftershave on, your Sam's going to be like, "What is going on here?"
Yeah, exactly.
Like, where's he off to?
That's why. That's one of the reasons.
Do you not wear if you were like going on a night out or whatever? No.
Do I go on a night out?
No, but
I've never worn aftershave. It's just one of those things I've never subscribed to. It's just, I don't know.
Why don't us three all go out one night and just wear all of Ped's old aftershave? Just douse
That'd be an
ourselves in it.
interesting
And
one.
see,
We'll call it Flammable Friday.
Well, sadly, they're all.
Don't do it on
I was
Bombing
thinking
Night.
of putting them on eBay, you know, just as
Collector's
that
item.
I'd own them and collector's items and just watch the people flock. But then I just threw them in the tip.
Probably for the best.
Do you know what I mean?
Unless they are
Out of sight, out of mind, innit? Do you know what I mean? You keep those things for years.
Once they've gone,
The minute they've gone, you forget about them.
Yeah, I mean, you haven't clearly because you've just told us, but soon it'll just
Core
be
memory.
the core memory. 50%
Or core
of
off
that.
memory.
Koros was. Did you like Koros, Sam?
I don't know what Koros is
The
or
white
was
bottle.
or will be.
The white
Is it
bottle.
aftershave? I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
you
it was lovely.
I wasn't a
It
big
was lovely.
aftershave wearer, to be honest. I had a little dabble in my sort of 20s, and then I just thought, yeah, like Ped, natural scent,
That's it, innit?
Oh, fair
and
play.
aroma.
Fair play.
Yeah, caveman.
Fair play. I like me aftershave, I must say. Just very brief.
So did that girl. So did that girl on the.
Yeah, all right. Leave it there. Leave it there. Yeah, it was all fun and games till Zach pointed a couple of comments out. Me missus went and read.
Yeah, I thought she might. Yeah. And if anyone
She was
hasn't
all right
watched
with
the
it.
recent overlap, then
It was cool. Anyway, as I was saying,
all I'm saying is I've never had a woman look at me like that. Not even my wife on my wedding day. That's
as
all
I
I'm
was
saying.
saying,
Chorus or not?
Koros it was. That was it. You're not wearing Koros. Your problem.
Is that what attracted those two fellas in Germany to you as
I
well?
didn't have Koros then. That was that. I didn't have it.
Were you wearing wang for men?
I was. that was actually.
You would. I'm not being funny. 20 minutes later, you would have been wearing double wang for men.
Yeah, I would have. Yeah, you wouldn't have rescued me. Fucking hell. I was on diesel and only the brave. Still am only the brave, but bloody hell, I needed to be only the brave that night. Fairer than wanted a bad famine.
And the good news on that is I do have pictures. So
You rescued me, thankfully.
Yeah.
Well, or John, one of you rescued me.
two men dressed, two clearly German gay fellas dressed as Swiss guards.
They were Swiss
but
guards.
in
Wow.
red versions to match the team, and with makeup on.
Guyliner, yeah.
And no, it wasn't just guyliner.
was
It was
it?
like
Was it
silhouette to make their noses sliver and all
well.
kinds. This is at the match, and took a fancy to Baz and did want to take him home, as well as a other married couple who also wanted to take Baz home. It was mad. It was like he
when
was
he-
wearing Sex Panther.
I've only got one question then. When are you going back to Germany?
Yeah. ASAP, Sam.
Never. He's been blocked by
No,
Mrs.
I'm going back,
It's on
I'm
the
going
list.
back.
Being banned by the Border Patrol.
As I get a bit older, I think, you know what? Why not? Why not? Let's go and experience it all. The full Dusseldorf. Yeah, I had a couple.
You dress as a-
Rudy,
Dress as-
Jürgen, Rudy, hello, it's me. Remember?
A couple grabbed hold of me ring finger and said, "Why are you married?" I was like, "Blangon, what about you two?" Anyway, we digress. We did also see a fella carrying 6 pints of lager as well, who was very impressive, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Remember walking?
If John Blaine sends that picture right now to James, then we could
I
possibly
don't
put
think
that
John
on the
needs
screen.
to put the picture up.
I just think
John can't still have that picture.
I've still got all the pictures from Germany.
I think
I've
Interpol
them
have got
in
that
a-
picture.
I've got them in a folder on my phone. Like
With a lock
I
on.
have
for,
some
for
photos.
any occasion.
I have some photos, but they're not accessible, as in they are, because they're on a hard drive, but they shouldn't be at people's fingertips.
definitely on a hard drive.
And I hope they need it at anyone's
on a hard
fingertips.
drive and on a list.
Because
I think the mental image I've got in my head is as vivid as I need this to be. Because I've got you
See,
dressed
all
as a
I will
Frankfurter
say, Sam, is-
sausage and them two dressed
Yeah.
as buns in my head.
Have you seen Sausage Party?
No, but I've been to a few.
Oh, good times.
Great.
I don't know where to go with that. Yeah, it was.
Not Dusseldorf.
No, not. I love Dusseldorf.
No,
that
no.
bit was, everything else was great. To be fair, the two fellas were great. They took it well, as they hoped. As they hoped I would. As they hoped I would. But John and Ped sort of done a quick rescue and escorted me away safely. And then we went and got on the train.
See,
wrong train.
that whole experience wore me out to the point where once we were on the train,
You
I
couldn't
couldn't
speak.
really physically speak
Yeah.
or move. I mean, anyone who's watching this,
What I'm really
Go on,
happy
stick
about
them on,
this
stick
is
it on, James,
just
go on.
full screen, James.
Go on,
I'm happy
James.
that Ped's here as well on this, so that's good.
there you go.
Sam needs
No,
it in
Sam
our
can't.
group. It's
Go on.
being sent or about to be sent to you, Sam. So there we are. after the Dusseldorf game.
Yeah.
Um,
But I've got a better picture, though, somewhere on my phone.
Have you?
Of the fella looking deeply just into your eyes.
like the Bournemouth.
Like both of them
lady.
are like, oh, hello, big boy.
Fair play. There you go. I mean,
No. Yeah.
the German housewives' favourite. Or German
Oh, that's
house
wonderful. Ped, you look like a dog.
Wunderbar, Sam.
Wunderbar.
Wunderbar.
Ped, you look like
It was.
Ped, you look like a dog in that picture that just snuck up and photobombed it from behind.
I love the fact he's in between the pom-poms.
I've been called worse.
Nice that.
Wunderbars.
Yeah.
Anyway, we digress. Let's move on. Very quickly. Move on. As I'm sure those two gentlemen did. On to the next one. Saturday, Sam. Everton did have a game of footy. Narrow defeat at Chelsea. Another one of those games, I guess, where you come away thinking, we could have got something there. You know, we give a disappointing goal away. We had a couple of opportunities ourselves. Could have had a penalty. What did you make of it overall?
Yeah, we could have got something. I think I'm getting to that point now where I'm starting to not tire, but I'm starting to. It's the relief of being safe is gone now, and I'm starting to think about next season. I mean, I've been thinking about this for weeks now, as I think the manager is, and I think for next season, games like this, where you go to Chelsea, who albeit high up the league, but aren't intimidating in the way that other Chelsea teams have been, and then you go and we play better in the second half anyway. But you know, probably could have snatched the point. Probably should have snatched the point. It's okay now and again, isn't it, to go, we were outdone by there. But I think next season, I would like this exercise at the end of the season this year, as we're being safe, to at least kind of give us something to work with, and the manager to understand who needs to perhaps move on and who's not ready for the team he's trying to build. Because I don't want next season for us to be having quite a lot of these games when you go, we could have got something there, and it just sort of becomes a little bit, I don't know, dull. But I think if you just take a step back, it is nice to go to a team who are. Where did they go? Did they go fourth? Did they when they beat us? They went fourth. They went into the Champions League spots. To go to a team like that, not be intimidated at the start, at the end, think you could have got a point. But I think there was a lot of answers, or there was a lot of questions answered, perhaps for the manager.
Yeah,
with some of the performances on Saturday, I think, and I think there'll be a few players who that they're going to have to do a lot in the remaining games if they get game time to really kind of change his mind. And maybe his mind was already made up, we don't know. But people like Patterson, who I don't think really took his opportunity particularly. So, yeah, unlucky, but it's just like a massive pre-season, isn't it, for next year at this point, really? So we'll see what happens and whether it'll affect the manager's choices.
Is that where we are now, Ped, really, as opposed to... Obviously, I think if Everton gets 7 points out of the last 12, I think they can probably finish 13, 14, right?
You said that with so much conviction.
No, but what I'm saying is other teams will pick points up as well, won't they, and where we are. But what I mean is that more important, or is it more important that the manager fully nails down what he needs for next season?
Maybe it's about seeing if this group of players can get that to that target, and that's the sort of that is how you look at it and how you define whether they're good enough that they are set a target. Can you get to this point? Can you get a bare minimum 7 points from the next 4 games? Let's say that's your bare minimum target, and if players can't get up to that level, that's where you need to be to see whether they were going to keep you. In many ways, as just said there, Sam said about Patterson, it's like, can you get yourself to a level where the next 3 or 4 games, if you play them, that you have consistent good games, because the next 3 are I think, the next 2 home games against 2 relegated teams, we should be winning the games no matter what. I don't want to hear any of this slow to like, we're all on the beach kind of thing. No. I want Everton to go out and perform in the last 2 games, and I want players to go out there and play like it's their last opportunity to be in an Everton shirt. So there has to always be. I feel like there has to always be a target set in any sort of walk of life to keep you going. Because it's a massive opportunity for some players that they've got to take. Otherwise, the manager will simply look elsewhere or look elsewhere within the squad. And I think, do you want to be at Everton? Do you want to be part of an exciting future? You know, I said to you the other day about what the manager said after the game about Beto, and I've heard him in other press conferences talk about like pulling people up on where they are, as in like, you're not really my squad. My squad's gonna come. You're just a load of people keeping this club warm at the moment, this team warm. If you want to be part of it, then when it is all together, I wouldn't dare talk about my team like that. But you're not really my team. You're just keeping it warm, unless you do something about it. And I feel like when you hear them talk, there's a little bit of that where it's just like, a footballer of mine wouldn't do that. A player who's my player wouldn't do that. And it feels like there's a lot of those kind of messages coming out, and I think that there's got to be something, hasn't it, to see the season out. There's got to be a target. So I hope they're all sort of on their toes and ready to go, because the fans don't care if there's nothing to play for now. The fans expect 2 home games, bare minimum. And if they're not delivered that, then, you know, people will be very honest on their feelings about some of these players.
Sam, that's got to be certainly, listen, I'm saying 7. Everton could quite easily go and win a Fulham as well. Fulham are one of those teams. They're a nice team to watch, but you're capable of beating them. But the bare minimum has got to be winning the 2 home games, surely, and give the players that target, because don't want it to... You're right in a way. It's Saturday was another one of them where you come away and you don't criticise it too much. You don't critique it too much. You just go, it's another one of those games. We could have got something out, but you can't keep going. It's another one of those games. We could have got something out. I think you can if we go and win the 2 home games. And obviously, like you say, I'm confident we can win a Fulham, to be honest. Watching them, they sort of are sliding towards the beach. So, I mean, is it got to be minimum the 2 home wins for you?
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, both those teams have got absolutely nothing to play for, have they? Because they're both down. So unless they just want to enjoy the last games in the Premier League, which teams don't tend to do, because, you know, we're still playing for a place. We're still playing for prize money. So, and I think the atmosphere will be great. The last couple of games at Goodison, as people are relaxed, safe, and just want to make got the big display, haven't we? The last one at Goodison against Ipswich from the 1878. Yeah. Obviously, the Southampton game, that's going to be an atmosphere that don't think anyone understands what it'll be yet, but it'll be distinct and unique, I'd imagine, as Everton fans with the occasion. Those teams are so poor as well, Ipswich and Southampton. Isn't it nice, though, to be talking about Fulham in the way that you've just said, Baz, which was like, well, you know, we could go to Fulham and win, because we could. That's like feasible. Same about Chelsea. We could have, you know, I think there was a cautious optimism going into that game. The City game at home the other week, we weren't scared of them, you know, and then we were disappointed at the end how it all panned out. But I think 6 points minimum. I think if we get 6 points, I think 13th is because the other teams around us are all pretty bad. You know, you got Tottenham and Man U focused on the Europa League, and I just think finishing higher up now. If Moyes has made his mind up, and I don't want to flip-flop from what I said probably last week, which was let's give some players a run out and give them a chance, because what's the harm? If he's already made his mind up, it's kind of pointless, isn't it? Just play your best team and try and get as many points as we can, and just finish higher up the league. If he's got targets that he wants to bring in, players that he wants to get out the club, I think it's like, yeah, get those points on the board and then get to the summer and see what we can do.
Yeah, I mean, that is it. It all, what we sort of want as fans, and when we all discuss it, and we obviously speak to lots of Evertonians and get lots of messages and comments from Evertonians, what we want's irrelevant, really, isn't it? In some respects, because David Moyes, he's got the job, and like Sam's just said, if the job is, I know for a fact that I don't think Nathan Patterson's good enough, I do think Nathan Patterson's good enough, whichever way it is, and I think that Dominic CalvertLewin staying because he told me he is, or what, you know what I mean, and selling better no matter what, then it's almost irrelevant what we want, because he'll do what he thinks is best. I imagine the ones he wants to have a look at will get another go or two.
You'd like to think that, wouldn't you? You'd like to think that this is the time, isn't it? Patterson, I think, should play every game now at the end of the season.
And then you'll know at least.
Then we'll all know, won't we?
We'll have a better idea.
Yeah,
anyway,
I think he deserves to play every game. If he doesn't start on Saturday, he's done, isn't he? Let's be honest. And Carlos Alcaraz is the same. It's like if Carlos Alcaraz got any chance of staying at Everton, he has to start the next 4 games. Just he has to, doesn't he? You'd have to put the other stuff to the side now. And if he doesn't, then you probably think then there's very little chance he's going to stay at Everton. I don't, I'm trying to think if there's many more than that. Jack Harrison, I think the manager will have already made his mind up on him. And, Brozier, will Brozier start on Saturday again? If he doesn't, then the manager's probably made his mind up on him. But again, at the same time, though, it's one of those with someone like Brozier and Jack Harrison where you probably look at it and go, well, there are players till the end of the season. It's not even a case of making your mind up. It's a case of doing what's best to actually win the game. Whereas the other players who are on contracts, you've got to look at someone like Nathan Patterson and decide whether you're going to keep him or sell him. Because selling's as big a part of it, isn't it? Of making sure you're getting the right amount of money for him to help in the PSR. You've got to make that decision as well. Not a case of like just, is this player going to start for me next season? It's, am I going to sell this player? Is it best for his career that he gets sold? And if you sell maybe a couple of players that you don't want and you've already made that decision, that's going to greatly help the PSR as well, which, has to be a deal. You have to sell a couple of players and you've got to make that decision.
I mean, Sam, for you, who would you start up front on Saturday? I know there's talk Dominic CalvertLewin will be back in the squad, but I imagine if he is, he won't start. I imagine, surely, because we haven't seen him for 3 months. It'd be a bit mad, I think. But if it was between Brozier, Chimiti and Beto, who would you go for?
Well, it depends, I suppose, how much the manager puts stock in what you see in training versus what you see on the pitch. Because we've got an opportunity here to play a really poor team at home with the crowd behind us. And you would imagine it would be, well, I suppose you get a better barometer of what someone like Chimiti is capable of against, bottom half opposition, which... As much as we want players who are going to score goals against everyone, if you've got players who can score against half the league at home over the season, then it's gonna get a lot of points on the board. So that, which leads me to Chimiti and just giving him a bit more of a chance, to get on the pitch and see what he can do, and just maybe starting on Saturday. That's probably what I'd do. I'm not so sure about Brozier. I don't know. I really liked seeing him when he first sort of came on before he's had 2 injuries since he's been here, hasn't he, I think? But before he got the first injury, he just looked like a player we didn't have. And I think he has got attributes that we don't have at the club. But he's just not, he's been really ineffective in games. He's not really made any kind of impact on any games. So it depends if he's got to make a decision on him. You need to be looking at him. I'm not sure there's anything about Beto that he can learn that he doesn't know already. He either likes him or he doesn't. I know that's very binary, but you know what I mean? He's either going to keep him or he's going to think, maybe it's time for him to move on. So I would start Chimiti personally against that very weak Ipswich defence and just see what he's capable of. Give him an hour and just see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, we've got to be scoring goals against these, haven't we, on Saturday? He says, no one probably won't.
No, but we have, haven't we? They do let goals in, and we have scored against. I think we've moved. We were feeling all very buoyant until sort of like the Arsenal game came, and we even though I thought we could give them, and we did give them a game, and again that's another one where you go, you know what? And then obviously we didn't score against City, and we hadn't. But if you go back, look at the game. Like, we scored twice against Liverpool, who've won the league. We scored twice against United and should have scored more, and that should have been done. We scored 4 against Leicester, 3 against Tottenham. So at home against teams who have not in great form, we have scored goals. So Ipswich represents that opportunity at the weekend. I personally will play Chimiti on Saturday for an hour and see whether he's got it. My thing is, if Calvert-Lewin is available, I don't think Chimiti will even be in the squad though.
Yeah, that's crazy. Isn't it?
You'll have Beto, Calvert-Lewin, and Brozier all available. I don't see a world where David Moyes puts 3 centre forwards on the bench.
Yeah,
I just don't. I mean, he left Chimiti out the other week for 3 right backs, didn't he? So, but me personally,
that suggests he's made his mind up already. If he's not getting onto the bench behind 3 right backs, I mean,
he brought him on for half an hour at the weekend though, didn't he? Beto just had his best moments as well. He just forced a really good save from Sanchez, and then he took him off. So maybe he wanted to have a little look at him. It's a weird one, like I just said. Just when it starts at these questions, the sort of question is what we sort of want and hope happens might be very different to what the manager.
Yeah.
Because like you said, Sam, and you said, he might have already made his mind up on all of these players from every day in training and us going, oh, well, he should give him a go and give him a go.
Yeah.
Mightn't come into it because he might be like, lads, they could all play the next 4 games. They're not up to my level.
Yeah, there's no point as us fans sort of like frothing at the mouth is that if certain players play and some players don't. The manager, if some players don't, then I think we know the manager's made the decision on them, and we have to. You have to trust, don't you? You have to buy in. You get when you have any manager, you have to buy into what they believe in and what they're doing every single day, to a point where until it gets to maybe a point where, which it has with other managers, obviously, where all the things add up to where you go, no, we've got eyes, we can see this isn't working, but the manager has said consistently, whether people like David Moyes who don't like him or they're indifferent to him, he said consistently this group of players is not good enough for where he not wants to take Everton, where he said he is taking Everton. If they want to be there, this set of players isn't good enough. And I think we have to, obviously we got an uplift when he came in and we won those games, but nothing has really changed. We knew we were at this level. We've known this all season, that we were at the level we're at right now, between 13th and 17th. We knew we were somewhere in there, and we were miles better than the 3 who've gone down. But it doesn't mean that's good enough. No. And the manager's consistently talking about getting back into Europe, going back to where he was the first time he was here, being embarrassed, talking about not saying, staying up isn't a positive thing, isn't worth talking about.
He said that last week, didn't he?
Yeah, he said that on day one. I'm embarrassed to be where we are right now. So we have to be like, the way I look at it is every single player basically has got their neck on the chopping block because they've all contributed to be where we are. Of course, some are much better than others and would hopefully stay. But I think when people start, I'll do it myself. When you start maybe giving your little favourites that a little bit of leeway, you have to just put the whole thing into context and go, look where we've been for the last 3 years. These players are clearly not good enough. And the minute they're replaced by someone better, because we often talk about, when we lose players, and how we were talking to James the other day, weren't we, about like how it felt like when we lost like Jolie and Lescott. And now, just like it feels devastating when you lose a player that you feel like you're ready to build to the next one.
Yeah.
There are players at the moment that you might have a Brantway, but where you go, I'd be devastated. But think about it the other way. Think about not being devastated, not to see half of this Everton team ever again playing for Everton's team, because they're simply not good enough. We'll pick a player out and we'll go, he's all right, he's neat and tidy, and he never lets us down. And then you go, but then you take a step back and go, they're not actually good enough though, are they? They're nowhere near good enough. And we've fallen into that trap so many times in the last 10 years or even more, of where you get a player and you go, I really like him, and then he's a decent player, and then you watch plays from other teams and you go, yeah, he's nowhere near as good as that player or that player. Or you go into a game going, I think got a good chance here, and then you watch the matchups and you just go, oh my God, these are players that just do the absolute bare minimum, and we sort of have fallen into the trap of being happy with that. And we have to break away from that, don't we? There's players who can't even take corners in our team. I won't name names, but there are players who can't even take corners. And we have to just get to this point where hopefully those players start getting replaced one by one. And as much as we're sitting here now going, really hoping that someone has a future because we like them and or they've had a disappointing couple of years because of injuries, or a manager might have slapped them around the head, who knows? We have to get away from that emotional side and go, we are not going to improve as a club unless we start getting much better and start replacing these players. And you know, that's what every club who wants to go on a journey, you know, to get anywhere has to do. You have to just get rid of some players that you might love and have loved them because they've done this one thing. But ultimately, there are so many players out there that are better than all of our players, and we have to be striving to get them.
Yeah, there you go. Move away from that. We'll see. Hopefully, Everton's last ever 3 o'clock kick-off at Goodison Park, of course, on Saturday against Ipswich. Hopefully, we can get the 3 points. I just look for some rapid fire questions to bring the podcast to a close. Just thought it was interesting to do. The first two are they're both yeses, but I just thought it was really interesting. Do you enjoy running? I mean, we just fired that to Sam.
Yes.
Okay.
Unless someone's chasing me.
Yeah, of course. Ped, would you ever try stand-up comedy? I mean, you know, they're the first two, which is.
Do you know what? I don't think I've got the ball to do it. To be honest, I do have great respect for Sam and people of his ilk. That doesn't mean I'm not tremendously funny.
Yeah, I think you'd be good at it.
I just don't know. Yeah. I'll be honest, Sam. I don't know how you remember all those words.
Well, I don't. If you saw me, there's a lot. The amount of brain farts I have when I'm on stage. But then often the funniest things happen when you just go, I don't know what I'm talking about here. And you just go off on a tangent, and then you go, oh, that was funny, and then you come off and you go, I don't remember what that was either.
If somebody said to me, you could go up on stage and you had to do a version of comedy where someone maybe give you a subject to just talk about.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I think I could be funny on stage just talking about it. Like what we've just talked about in this podcast, literally nothing. There's no structure to this.
No.
The first I said to you before the show, let's just not talk about the Chelsea game, and then that was it. And we do that every single show. Yeah. Every single show we do that. So someone said to me,
apologies if you want structure.
If someone said to me, go up on stage and take suggestions about talking something, I think I would be okay. I think I could talk about them in a funny way, but I don't. When I watch comedians, and sometimes in awe of how they start shows, hit a point, and then bounce to the next point so seamlessly and make it funny. Yeah. I don't think I've got that kind of thing in me where, you know, and then having to do it and then having to go to the next tour and do something completely different and not fall into the tropes of, oh, that was funny in the last show, I'll go back to that. That must be very difficult. Yeah,
that's it's when you got something that works and you have to let it go, because you're just like, it still works. It still works 100% of the time, and it blows the roof off. But I've said it so many times. But then you start to get a bit. It's like creatively, it's nice to just go, I'm never saying that again, and I've got to start from scratch. And that's when you start from scratch, and you think you go from being like Champions League level, everything's working, and then your National League the next gig, because you're like, I haven't got any jokes now. I'm just back to being me, and I'm just trying to find some ideas that work. But there used to be a show called Set List in the Edinburgh Fringe where you basically got told what you had to talk about as you got up on stage. So it was a bit like that, Peds, where you go, they give you like 5 bullet points as you walked on, and you'd have to try and make it look like a seamless set that you'd done before.
That'd be amazing.
Sometimes you hit on something, you go, you've either got something in your head and you go, I can talk about that, or you just make it up on the spot and it's funny. But sometimes you're like that, just clinging at stuff and it's not quite landing. And then you've got to try and seamlessly get to the next bit, and that doesn't quite land, and you're like, "Oh, hey, it's not working, is it?" No, so it's really good to like push yourself.
And that
it.
would be the difficult point for me also, is if I don't feel like, if I did that, not that I ever will, but if I did that and I didn't feel like the crowd were laughing or giving me anything back, that's where I would die on my arse. I'd be like,
turn on them. I reckon you'd turn on them, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I think you get it.
I'd just start throwing things at them. I'd be like the Joker. I'd be like the Joker, literally, in the first film. Just like,
I was thinking more like Ange Postecoglou when he was doing that to the Spurs fans, you know, when they scored.
Listening and all that.
Yeah, I'd be looking at me feet.
I think Pedder just looked down at the mic and just talk quietly. You know, get me off of you. Oh, mate, come on, mate. Come on, you're not really asking me that, are you, mate? Right, a couple of quick other ones. Would you ever appear on a reality show, Sam?
Depends what it was. I don't really like the genre, to be honest.
But if you got asked,
I'll say no.
Is there any that you'd do?
Ready, Steady, Cook. Is that still on? Is that a reality show?
Okay, all right. Okay, fair play. Would you, Ped?
Yes,
Would you?
I would do all of the reality shows because, and there's a reason why I'd do it, and it would just be to destroy every single body else in the place. Because I do believe.
Again, going back to your point, Sam, he would turn on the audience.
No, because I do believe. No, that's not the audience. I do believe that these shows are just full of people who need destroying, and it would be my job to destroy them.
What if they thought you needed
That's fine. Bring it on. Bring it on. That's where my that's where my superpowers kick in. Is literally is destroying people.
Okay.
And
a great comic book.
Yeah, there'd be no better place than ITV2 to destroy these people. Do you know what I mean? That is the place you want to be if you want to destroy people.
Who would you be on? But it's like you screaming at Jeanette Cranky. I'd watch that.
Yeah. No, honestly, I would love to be. No, honestly, I would love. I know there's a.
I reckon you and Stephen will.
I know there was a celebrity Big Brother, and I think Mickey Rourke got kicked out for saying something. I would love to be in a room with some of these people. Like,
but you would be lashed out quickly, wouldn't you?
No, I wouldn't. These celebrities who I would love to just be put in a room with them as they sort of try to put themselves out there and try and be their thing, and it would be my job to just destroy them, and I would take great pleasure in doing that. Honestly.
No, but don't you? All right.
I think the audience would love me for it.
Step back just a little bit. What about the human side of them, though?
No, but that's the point.
Why would you want to destroy someone?
That's the point. I'm not someone just like walking in and going, "Hey, you're a knobhead." I mean, sitting back for like 24 hours, watching how things develop, seeing who the bullies are and stuff, and then just going, "Who the fuck do you think you are? Your face looks like it's had plastic surgery more times than Sylvester Stallone's ma. Pipe down." Do you know what I mean? Start at that kind of level.
Okay.
And then see where it goes.
If you want to vote for Ped to leave, dial 0874.
But no one would vote me out because they'd be like, this fella is going to bring down the Wales.
Okay.
So,
like a few more quicker fire ones. Do you think you could win a game show?
In my head, I think I can win it because every game show I win, I get every answer.
Every game show I win.
Every game show I watch, I do get every answer right. But then put you in that moment of like when, you're Tom Pointless and the big posh fella's like, so, pointless answer. What was the name of the cat in
He couldn't even win our Pointless. What about you, Sam? Do you think you could win a game show?
What's the one with the Jasper Carrot used to be on with the 10p
balls, golden
balls? Yeah, I'd be good on that. Anything with questions, I'd be crap. I'm good at blagging stuff, but I don't know the answers to lots of questions. So I don't think, it'd have to be the right type. Maybe catchphrase.
Catchphrase? That'd be interesting.
Yeah.
That'd be interesting. Do you believe in ghosts, Sam?
No, but I've heard if you go to Germany, they will put the willies up you.
Hey! Are you having that bad?
What about you, Pedro?
Yeah, why not? I mean, why wouldn't you? There's more things to be scared of in the normal world than ghosts. So
I think so.
So let's have that, right?
Have you ever delivered a perfect comeback?
Oh, every day, mate. You know, I literally did one 5 seconds before we started this show.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Let's not talk about
I went into a school years ago to talk to a load of kids, and so there's about 300 kids in this hall, and they're all being dead loud. And I said, right, my name's Sam, and I'm a comedian, and some gobby kids shouted to tell us a joke, and I just said, your mum and dad are proud of you, and the whole class, the whole school, and then I felt dead bad. But then I looked at the teachers were laughing. One of the teachers came up to me afterwards and said, I'm so glad you said that to him, he's a gobby little turd. I was like, oh, wow.
That's what I mean. Some people need to be taken down.
Oh, okay.
That's the thing, whether they're kids, celebrities, no matter what. Some people, the world wouldn't be what it is right now if some people were taken down a step who had never been taken down a step. There's far, like, I'm not like, you know which way I fall in the world in type of term of politics and stuff, but some people just need to be do need to be told to shut up and put down, because too many of them have been allowed to just get away with it all their lives because no one's ever told them to be quiet because they're an absolute idiot. And yes, I do understand the audience is shouting at me right now. I understand that point, but there are too many people in the world who've never been told or never been put in situations and have had it too good all their lives, and no one's ever told them. I mean, maybe
how about this then? How about instead like a reboot of Quantum Leap? Remember that show?
There is a reboot of Quantum Leap.
No, but this a reboot with you in the lead role.
Yeah.
But instead of as yourself, or maybe we'll get an actor to play you, but it'd be Ped. And instead of going to like right the world's wrongs, you go and like meet these bullies that are now in these like big positions in the world as a kid.
The White
and
House.
just belittle them a little bit and just bring them down a peg or two in the world.
Well, that's it, isn't it? That's it. There's a few leaders in this world. I won't name names.
Worse.
I do want my visa for America. There are a few people out there that do, maybe if someone had stepped in at an early age and, and I'll take that on. I don't know if I can do it forever because I'm, but,
But for now.
Maybe
the world just a couple of degrees better.
Just make it a better place for you and for me and the entire human race.
Have you ever walked out of a movie theatre mid-show?
No.
Okay.
Paid good money.
Sam?
Only when I snuck in at the old show, the showcase, when I'd gone to watch a film and I was about 17, then we snuck into another film and we didn't know what was going on and we were being dead loud and we thought we'd get kicked out, so we just left.
Okay.
See, that's different, but that did at the Odeon on London Road. I think we might have watched one that we paid for and then sneaked into another, and then like you sneaked in halfway through and you're like, what?
Yeah, missed it.
Like why not? Why she just boiled that rabbit?
Who's Nemo and why are they looking for him?
Exactly. Yeah, I mean that's quite cute. Last couple. Have you ever worn socks with sandals?
Hang on. I've put socks on with like sliders, but like round the house.
Oh, no, round the house. I mean, outside for the public to see.
No. Well,
I've wore socks with Crocs once to go to the shop. And
Sam.
Once you just at the top. Yeah, proper Crocs. But once you do it once, then your standards dissipate and you think, that's me now. So I often go to the shops at the top, often to buy booze as well, which makes it even worse.
Here's a question for you. Would you ever go bare-toed to the tip?
Bare-toed to the tip?
Dangerous.
That's what I'm
What
asking.
reason?
You've gone the tip, you've just thrown a pair of sliders on or whatever.
Throwing your old aftershaves in the tip.
You're throwing your own aftershaves in the tip. Would you ever consider that, or have you got to go fully shoed up?
I'm going shoed up.
Okay.
I'm going fully shoed up. I don't think I haven't got the capacity to go shoeless in the tip.
No.
Imagine catching a baruka from the tip.
Yeah, I remember when some person walked into this studio with bare-toed, and I thought, well, I didn't think anything because I'd hid upstairs in the room to get away from this person, but that's a different story.
Left that for me.
And then Baz was left to his own devices, and that came down. I thought Baz might have killed him.
Yeah. Oh, I thought you were talking about
done it once as well.
Yeah.
Not a good look. Not a good look. Tips with no socks and shoes is not good.
Tiptoeing, you could call it.
You could call it that, Sam, and I like it.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't do it. But
that could be like a game show where you're given the parameters, going to a tip with all kinds of bad things on the floor. Can you survive without getting a cut? It feels like it would have been on Bravo in the early 90s.
I feel like the Japanese might have done.
Yeah, of course they have.
Like mad stuff.
Of course they have. And that's what makes them a great nation.
They are a great nation.
Is that they put their people in perilous danger early on in their lives, and it makes them great characters.
Builds the capacity.
Builds them up to be good people. Mm-hmm.
And not scared of anything.
Not scared of anything.
Fair play. Why wouldn't you? They don't like pubes, though, do they? We've done that before on this podcast many years ago.
I mean, I don't like pubes unless
don't they?
I don't mind pubes where they are, but when you find them in your soup, it's not nice, is it?
It's never good. Never good.
Pixelate that, lad.
Yeah, pixelate that soup. You jockey. Right. That's why not? Why not? Throw it in there. Why not? Right, that's us done. Make sure you like, subscribe, give the 5-star rating, do all of that, share it, do it all, enjoy the sun. Sam, thanks, mate. We will catch up with you next week, of course. If you still got tickets for Thunderstorm,
can't be many left now.
I think there's 3 left across the whole of the 27 dates. One of my shows is sold out, actually, and I'm in Lancaster this Friday. That's sold out now. So
you can always rely on
Birmingham.
the Lancastrians.
Birmingham has just gone on sale, so that's only just gone on sale today. So get on my website, samaverycomedy.com.
Could be sold out by the time this podcast goes live, so people
may very well be.
Get onto it right now. There you go. Nice one, Sam. Take it easy. We'll see you all later. Bye.